So for step 8, assembling the front dampers, well, you can see we've got this front damper shaft that goes in through D5, then through F2, and then right through into F4. And it shows here, screw in is shown, which basically means you want to screw that shaft right there all the way in. But we're going to have to grease it up before we put it all the way through. And then we've got this cap, F1, which will get screwed in using one of the BA2 screws. So there are the BA2s, our front shafts, our springs, and then these are all the pieces that you need to collect for this step, and they're all in a bag that's got all the blue parts, except for this, which are on the D parts tree. So I'll set this up and we'll put this together. So first off, let's grease up this shaft. So let's squeeze a little bit on there, and I'm not going to go too crazy. I want to make sure there's enough for other things. We still have to use this for the gears, etc. So we've got this, then we have this D5 piece that has to be slid on just like that. Then you can see it's going to go inside this piece, F2. I'm going to take that all the way down, just like that. And then it's going to go onto one of the springs, just like that. And then you can see that we have this F4 piece, which is at the bottom, and that all has to be screwed into it. So in order to do this, if I grab the screwdriver, I'm going to make sure that I've got this right. We're going to push this on. And now I'm going to screw this into place. Now I'm just making sure that that's going in level. It is. So we're going to screw this in. Making sure that that is sitting correctly. Yeah, we still need to screw this in more. Is that right? Almost. We're getting there. Might even hold it this way for a minute. Give my hand a break on the other side. Yep, and that would be correct. So there we go. And so what ends up happening is we've got this piece, and you can see that there's a notch there. That sits like that. You'll see there's a screw hole at the other side. This is where our little BA2 screws come into play. And we grab our screwdriver and we screw it into place. Okay, so now that's perfectly in place, and we've got a shock made. They're going to be very bouncy, but that's the way they're designed. Very cool. Okay, so let's work on the other one. So again, we're going to grease up the shaft here. And we got to stick this through the D5 piece. Then it's going to go inside of F2. Come on. There we go. Inside of F2. Then it's going to go over the spring. Then we've got the F4 piece, and this all has to be screwed into that. So again, let's use our screwdriver. Make sure I've got the piece correctly on. Yes, there we go. And we're going to push and turn. And we'll just keep screwing this in. Make sure that that's going in correctly. Yes. Actually, I'll hold it this way now. For some reason that seems like it's not quite right. It is, but I've got to be able to hold this down while I turn it. There we go. I wonder if I can, this one seems tighter, so if I use the pliers, can I, yes. Make sure that that's correct. In fact, I think I can back it off just a touch, in fact. Yep. So there we go. That is the other one. So we can, again, we're going to put this in. You can see that's got to go into the notch. We've got our BA2 screw that's going to go onto this side, which will hold everything together. There we go. And I'll just turn. Almost in. There we go. And there we go. That is the second one. So now we have both of our front shocks ready to go. Very cool. So that means step 8 is complete. So now we're going to move on to step 9 and attach the front dampers. So for step 9, attaching the front dampers, well, you can see here that we've got our BA8 screw that's going to go through the shock mount. Then there's a copper tube that goes inside the plastic on the top of the shock, and then we lock it down with a lock nut. On the bottom, we've got a larger screw that's going to go through a copper tube that goes into the bottom of the shock, and it's going to get screwed directly into the other side of the arm. So the same thing again on the other side, and it's showing you clicking on the ball connectors, which we'll do here too. So there are all of the screws that we need for this and the copper tubes. So I'll set this up and we'll put this together. So I think what we'll do is let's work on the right side just like they're showing here. Looks like they're showing that the screw on the top is facing forward. So let's grab a BA8 screw, and we're going to grab a copper shaft or tube that's going to go inside of there just like that, as you can see. And this is going to go inside. That's going to go through the copper tube and out to the other side. Come on. There we go. And then we have our flange lock nut on the other side. So I can use the box wrench and the screwdriver here. The box wrench will hold that together while we screw this in. There we go. And of course that's the copper tube is slightly larger than the plastic, which gives it a little bit of play, but that's done. And then on the bottom half, well, we've got our larger BA9 screw, but we've got to put a copper tube inside of there. That's going to go down there, inside the arm. This screw is going to go through there and into that arm. Just make sure, I'm going to turn this around. I think we're going to be able to see this better. So you can see that that's going to have to be, well, let's do it this way. Let's take that through. Let's put the copper tube in and make sure that that's in the middle there. The screw is going to go through and to the other side. So now that it's in, we just need to screw it down. Now remember, this is going into soft plastic, and these are not tapping screws, they're regular screws. So once you get to the end and feel some resistance, you're going to want to stop. There we go, that feels right. So there is one of our friction shocks in place. Very good. So let's do the other side. So we're going to grab our shock, again the screw's facing forward. We're going to put a copper tube into the top, and we're going to take this, slide it through there. In fact, maybe what we'll do is let's make sure that's going through. Yes. Take our screw, slide that through to the other side, and it will go in. There we go. And we'll take our flange nut. If you can see that. Now it's probably easier to see it this side. Spin that on, and again I'm going to use the box wrench to hold the flange nut in place while I screw this in. There we go. So there's the top done. So again, for the bottom, and I'm going to turn this over because I think that was easier to do, is that we're going to take a copper tube, make sure that that fits in there, and then we're going to take our screw from the front through there, through the copper shaft. There we go. It's into the other side, and we're going to screw this in. Okay, I'm feeling resistance, so I'm going to stop. So there are our front friction shocks in place. So the only thing left to do is we need to snap on our ball connectors. Now these should be easy to do just by pushing them on. There we go, there's one. And again, push, and there's the second. So there we go. There are our front friction shocks on, and we've attached our steering arms. Now, I can tell that they're slightly wrong, so we are going to be making some adjustments later in the manual, but we can also do fine-tuning with the trims on the transmitter when we get to that point. So very, very cool. So we've got our front all completed. So that means that step 9 is complete. So we're going to move on to step 10, and we're going to start working on the counter gear, and we're now also into bag B.